poisoning communities all across our country, targeting our most vulnerable, our children. It's laced in pills that people buy on the street or given to you by a friend.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, a campus in darkness, a drug distribution network operating beneath it. One tons of heroin and fentanyl, cash disappearing before dawn. Activity recorded across Ilhan Omar's congressional district. The starting point of a system built on drugs, money, and fear. Want to know the whole truth? Hit like, and I'll show you everything. Minneapolis, Minnesota, at 4 a.m. This story did not begin with rumors. It began with a warning. No one could ignore. A public statement from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar drew nationwide attention when she claimed that one of her relatives had been stopped by icy immigration and customs enforcement agents in the state. However, behind that headline was a much larger chain of events already unfolding, a sequence that had begun days earlier when federal monitoring units detected a video spreading rapidly across social media. The turning point came when a video emerged from a young Somali student named Camille Hersey, who filmed himself speaking directly to the camera. Not shouting, not impulsive, but calm, deliberate, and precise. He warned that if ICE agents entered his neighborhood, he would track them down and shoot them.
I actually heard you guys pull up to Owatonna, the Big O, and you pulled up when I was not there? Oh, so puss ass, boy. You gonna get popped next time I see you at. Bring the whole cavalry.
His message spread quickly across TikTok and private channels, reaching federal surveillance units within hours. At a time when threats against immigration officers had risen more than 8,300% nationwide, every statement was treated as potentially operational. An apology could be withdrawn, but the risk could not. From that moment on, investigators expanded the scope of their inquiry. They began connecting the video to something even more serious. Drug-related overdoses and hospitalizations in nearby residential areas had quietly surged, rising more than 260% in less than a year. Unmarked vehicles linked to narcotics crews were moving repeatedly through zones near student dormitories and international academic communities. The threat had now reached working-class families, elderly residents, and longtime community members who had never before been touched by organized street-level activity. Financial traces revealed recurring micropayments, small transfers repeated again and again, quietly accumulating into millions of dollars flowing through multiple layered accounts. The pattern was not random. It looked engineered. And behind that structure were individuals who appeared respectable, trustworthy, even community-minded people no one had ever suspected. For federal investigators, that was the moment everything changed. This was not an echo. It was a system already in operation. This was not harmless language. It was a signal of danger. Comment warning, if you believe the public needs to see this. As investigators delved deeper into the case, they discovered that the real danger was not where most people expected it to be. It wasn't operating in dark alleyways or deserted streets. Instead, it hid quietly behind student housing complexes, student assistance programs, and rental apartments surrounding an international campus. On the surface, these places appeared peaceful. Students studying, families visiting, classrooms full of activity. But inside the seized records, a very different picture emerged. Over the course of 18 months, federal analysts identified more than 86 devices, accounts, and financial channels connected to an underground distribution chain. Transactions were broken down into hundreds of small payments, each transfer designed to appear harmless. Yet, when total, the outgoing funds exceeded $187 for a million, spread across student bank cards, prepaid wallets, and short-term money transfer services. Nothing in this system appeared random. It was multi-layered, rehearsed, and carefully protected. GPS data confirmed the pattern, and every lead pointed to one name: Nuruddin Aiden Osman, 42, a structured narcotics coordinator operating quietly behind the campus. Messages, audio logs, and transaction records revealed repeated delivery cycles. More than one tons of heroin, fentanyl, and synthetic compounds, all disguised under labels such as books, supplies, and midnight delivery. Osman had prior connections to federal trafficking routes, and financial logs on his laptop showed total deposits of more than $7 for a million within 6 months, far beyond any lawful income. His messages coordinated delivery schedules, quantities, and rotating carriers responsible for transporting narcotics in small batches to avoid detection. The documents also revealed a chain of rotating safe houses, disposable phones, and detailed maps of distribution routes across Minnesota and 2 neighboring states. The suspects on campus were not simply hiding. They were part of a structured trafficking operation using the university as a protective shield. Based on the collected data, federal agents determined that nearly 1 ton of fentanyl and cocaine was being staged for transport through the campus, a secure holding corridor before distribution across Minnesota and surrounding regions. Analysts concluded that this was a high-risk and escalating threat. It did not originate from street-level gangs. It was embedded within student networks linked to the system. And when investigators reviewed the final evidence, one undeniable truth remained. This was a narcotics operation with leadership, logistics, and wide-ranging operational capability, and it was still running at full capacity. If you're still with us at this point, type expose to understand why students were pulled into this network and the true scale of the threat. By the time the operation officially began, the campus no longer felt like a place of learning. It felt like a geological fault line that had finally split open. At 4:32 a.m., a convoy of unmarked SUVs moved quietly along the narrow roads surrounding the university grounds. More than 280 agents from the FBI and DEA entered the international campus in a coordinated sweep, the result of months of verified intelligence rather than speculation. From the outside, the campus appeared silent. Inside, it was a controlled storm. Overhead, a compact reconnaissance drone circled above the courtyard, scanning rooftops and restricted maintenance routes. Thermal signatures registered across multiple sites, student service facilities, base and storage areas, and an abandoned laboratory complex. One figure stood almost motionless inside a restricted hallway. The build matched Nuruddin Aiden Osman, the identified coordinator. Teams are set, a quiet voice reported. Entry order confirmed. A control breach opened the first entry point. Light cut through the dark corridors. Doors shattered. Floors were cleared in formation. Team 1 advanced to the western wing. Stacked crates, torn tarps, and the strong chemical odor of processing agents. Team 2 moved toward the central lobby under protective shield cover. Then the first confrontation unfolded. In the eastern sector, 2 suspects attempted to escape through an emergency exit. Commands rang out. Stop, federal agents. But they refused to stop. A smaller group made a far worse decision, opening fire from inside a warehouse structure near the campus perimeter. The gunfire was brief and sudden, but chilling. No civilians were injured, and medical units were already in place. But at that moment, one truth became undeniable. Inside the warehouse core, agents discovered something far more severe. Steel drums filled with heroin, fentanyl precursors, and equipment capable of producing large quantities within hours. This was not storage. This was production across multiple targeted locations. Nearly a ton of narcotics was seized. Heroin, fentanyl compounds, and synthetic batches capable of generating tens of thousands of illegal doses. Some materials were prepared for immediate shipment. Others have been concealed for months. A single notebook recorded 214 transfers across 14 months. Behind the final reinforced door, Osman sat there at a metal table, phone in hand. 3 associates beside him. No shouting, no resistance, no panic. He simply looked up. Agents surged forward. Osman was restrained without a word. His network collapsed in a single night. The entire operation was seized. 23 accomplices arrested on site. $260,000 in cash stored inside 3 suitcases. 15 handguns and 3 rifles tied to ongoing investigations. Ledgers documenting shipments across 3 states. Distribution routes marked in red across the map. What began as an online threat had exposed a narcotics network operating in plain sight, and its leader was finally taken into federal custody. If you support the federal agents who risk their lives to dismantle networks like this, like and share to learn how this operation infiltrated the campus environment. By the time the raid concluded and the final evidence crates were sealed, many believed the danger had ended with Osman's arrest. But inside the quiet federal review rooms where analysts worked slowly, methodically, and without cameras, a sobering truth emerged. What happened on campus was not the whole structure. It was only the visible surface of something deeper, older, and far more organized. The first wave of revelations came when C's phones and laptops were decrypted. Investigators expected chatter, coordination, and routine trafficking messages. Instead, they uncovered something far more unsettling. More than 340 encrypted communication threads spread across multiple platforms with carefully layered messaging chains that avoided direct references to narcotics or cash. The language was coded, disciplined, and deliberate, a sign of planning, not